Hey, what's up? It is Saturday, October 10th. It's 10/10/2020. This is your girl, Harlo Hendricks. I am back. I missed last week. If you're tuning in for the first time, I appreciate you. If you're tuning in again, I appreciate you and all of your support. Um, if you are watching this on my Facebook page, you cannot comment. So I recommend if you want to comment to go ahead and switch over to YouTube at Harlow's World, or also you can switch to the Harlow's World Facebook page where I'm also streaming live today. Anyway, if you're watching, welcome. I appreciate again all your support. Just move my incense around here because it's a bit smoky. I'm trying a new view, so if you're seeing this, got a lot of sunlight out here in Vegas, so I'm trying to keep it where the sun is not everywhere. But anyway, so we're going to jump right in. I want to just kind of recap. My last broadcast was on September the 26th, and I had a great actual. I don't know what that was. Anyway, I had a great actual podcast with a couple of guests. Really excited that came on. I want to send a shout out to Ashwell and Samantha, who came on and joined me last week for just a bit. And if you guys didn't have a chance to see it, I had these two wonderful young ladies on last week, and they came in and we had a great discussion on strong Black women, the myth and the magic. And so before I go away from that, I want to kind of cap back on that, and I want to kind of go back to that and just where we were on September 26th in regards to strong Black women conversation. So we had some really great insights, some really great input. One of the key things that we were able to really kind of put out in the forefront was how women feel when we are being called strong Black women. Sometimes it can be as much as a compliment as it is an insult. A week after the fact, I ended up having a really great conversation with a friend over in the UK who really gave me some insight on the strong Black woman magic. And so I just want to take a moment. It's been a while. I can't recap everything that we talked about, but I want to just kind of go back briefly about everything that we briefly and kind of touch on the strong Black woman magic. And in doing so, I want to recognize a lot of women who have just really made a strong impact in this country. The founding mother of rock and roll, Rosetta Tharpe, is being celebrated today, and is being celebrated in Philadelphia. Ghetto Songbird, the young lady Samantha Hollins, who joined me on the 26th with strong the SBW conversation. Y'all, I'm tongue-tied this Saturday morning. I saw that on her page. She also came up a lot in the discussion in regards to the pioneering that Black women have done in this country. I want to kind of touch again on the Eve gene, which kind of ended our conversation when we went off air on the 26th. And I want to do a little more in-depth conversation. I don't want to hold that conversation by myself because I definitely want to get some professional insight as well as some personal insight as to what strong women are and who they are, and how do we get them to and how do we celebrate them on a regular basis. So we're going to have that conversation again about strong Black women. We're going to talk about some of the pioneering Black women in this country for years. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to continue to empower my sisters. I want us to continue to empower each other, especially during this time where we really need to be definitely showing our support and coming together and communing to create a stronger bond. All right. So again, I have a great conversation. Again, I want to send a shout out to Ashwell, who came in, joined in, has some great introspective on the strong Black woman. I also want to send a shout out to Samantha Hollins, also known as the Ghetto Songbird from Philadelphia. Thank you for coming out and for coming on with me and just really putting your insights. So let's go ahead and jump in because I want to keep this particular podcast short today. Last time I ran over. and I tend to do that when I have guests. I just kind of want to recap. And if you guys are joining me, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, wherever you are, I'm not Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, you want to send some comments, please do so. I'm welcome all comments and input. But I just want to kind of briefly touch on what's been going on in the last week. Right before my birthday, we got a judgment or a grand jury indictment for the gentleman or the police officers involved in the Breonna Taylor case. And I just kind of want to touch on this. I don't want to get too deep because people get really butthurt and sensitive about certain things that unfortunately are just truth in the matter. And this is why I want to encourage everybody to go vote. We as a community of Black people have not taken a strong interest in politics up until I think maybe Barack Obama, and even more so now with President Trump. And in doing so, we need to educate ourselves on the laws, the bylaws, the amendments, and everything that's applicable to us, or that's not applicable to us. I'll put it that way, because we all know that these laws, these amendments, this government was not made and has rarely been adjusted to suit the needs of the African American community. The one thing I want to touch on really quickly in regards to the Breonna Taylor case, and hopefully this will open up some windows or doors for a better conversation, is simply that in order for that police officer to have been charged with murder, which is what we all want, myself included, he has to have had intent in some manner. And so with that being said, unless he went in with the intention to kill someone, specifically Breonna Taylor or her boyfriend or anyone else that was in the house, he can more than likely will never get a murder charge. So they are giving us the bare minimal of what they can give us in regards to her case. Now, that sucks in the sense that murder is murder in our eyes. If you kill somebody, intentional, unintentional, these are some of the laws that are applicable in this country. And so I say this because as we get closer to the election, as we pay more attention to the laws that have not been applying to us, for how the government has failed us, for how law enforcement has failed us on so many different occasions, we have to encourage each other to go to town hall meetings, to educate ourselves on the laws, to educate ourselves on the bylaws, to understand what it means and what he was charged with and why he wasn't charged with murder. I think that would be helpful in maintaining sort of a managed social climate, that when these attorneys and these people who go before and make these press releases, they explain to everyone exactly why this officer did not get the charge, so that we can understand and that we can make the adjustments and change the laws. Because as I feel at this point, there should be a specific set of laws that make police officers and law enforcement accountable for their actions. And we don't really have those in place. And if we do, we're not exercising them the way we should. We've got this wanton endangerment charge on the gentleman who shot and killed Breonna Taylor, and it sucks. It hurts as a community that we don't get the murder charge, and that her life was not. He wasn't even charged with taking her life. He was charged with endangering the people around her. Again, continue to protest, but not just protest. Know why you're protesting. Know what we're protesting for. We need to start going to our law enforcement, and we got to start having conversations. We got to start going to town hall meetings or participating in these town hall meetings so we can understand what's really going on. So I just want to touch on that really quickly because it's been sitting on me since the verdict was released, which is right before my birthday. Now, speaking of sitting on, and I'm just going to take a sip of this coffee. Did anybody catch the debate? Well, if you're on my Facebook page, seen everybody posting, of course, the highlight of the debate happened to be the fly on a piece of shit. I mean, the fly in the video. That I didn't say that. However, we don't want to make that just a focal point. I mean, it definitely speaks volumes about this election. It definitely speaks volumes about that particular debate. And I have to touch on that because it's going to take me back to the strong Black women. Okay, so there's some memes going around with Kamala Harris, Claire Huxtable, and all Black moms ever who give you that look. You know that look that tells you to stop, shut the fuck up. Because if you're a Black mom like me, you've given that look, and if you got a Black mother, you've gotten that look. That's exactly what my conversation was about 2 weeks ago on September 26th, when we talked about strong Black women and having the body language and the energy that dominates our conversation. We're very verbal, very physical people, and we speak with our tones, we speak with our body language and our facial expressions. And so that does not make her a monster, Mr. Trump. That does not make her an angry Black woman. She is simply showing expression to get her point across. And there's other women of other races who do the same thing, but it upsets me that once a Black woman, or what Kamala is in terms of she claims being Black, I guess that's another subject. Anyway, to be profiled as being angry, being a monster, that's what hurts Black women in this country. We are the least protected women. We are the least observed women. We get the worst sort of stereotypes. And that's why I wanted to have that conversation. And then when I saw the memes the day to follow, it kind of hurt my feelings to see that she was simply, Hillary Clinton gave several looks like that when she was debating with Donald Trump. And it became an angry Black woman thing. And I didn't really appreciate it. It was kind of funny, though. I'm not going to take away that it was humorous, and I've actually given the look and I've seen the look. But again, we got to go back and recapture that conversation about strong Black women, especially now that Kamala Harris, I believe, will be our first African-American woman vice president. That's just my belief. People tend to tell me that it's not going to happen that way, but yeah, we see. That's why I encourage you to vote. If you're looking at the bottom there, vote, vote, vote. Another thing I really want to quickly touch on, again, I don't want to make this podcast too long. I have a tendency to overtalk. I want to definitely talk on, today is National Mental Health Day, which is why I wanted to really have this particular podcast. I have openly spoken about my mental health issues, maybe not to everyone, and I'm not suffering from anything that requires medication. However, I'll be open and honest in saying, when I was about 12 years old, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety. I was never actually treated for it. So I have been struggling with how to maintain this anxiety that can lead to depression, that can lead to other things, my whole young adult life. At 51, I have learned how to maintain my mental health. I have learned how to manage my anxiety. I've definitely outgrown my depression. And so my only purpose in life at this point is to just lead a healthier life, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so today, and it being Mental Health Day, I do want to encourage everyone to take time to just care for yourself. Today is a day of self-love, self-care. Reach out to people. This is a really hard time in this country, especially with the COVID, especially with the isolation we've had to experience. Some of us can handle it better than others. So you want to reach out to those people who are struggling with mental health issues. I do want to commend the health industry, the mental health industry, however you call it, for kind of making things like being bipolar, schizophrenic, making those things general conversation, and they're no longer demonized. I don't think they are, and they shouldn't be. If you or someone is experiencing or is bipolar, don't demonize them. It's a scary process for you on the outside, but can you imagine what that person is going through on the inside? Also, keep in mind, mental health issues are definitely a large factor in dementia and Alzheimer's, along with other health issues and things like that. But all that kind of falls into place because if you're not mentally healthy, you're probably not going to take care of yourself physically. And having to personally experience that, with my mother having Alzheimer's and to have gotten diagnosis years after she probably should have been treated for it, I want to encourage everyone to really consider your mental health a priority. because once your mental health becomes a priority, your physical health will fall in line. Um, so that's what I want to kind of leave with on the mental health issues. If you have any questions or you need like tips or something on how to get your own mental health regime in place. Okay, I'm gonna plug myself. I have a group called Onyx Sun, ONYXSUN. I have a page and I have a Facebook group. The Facebook group, I am sharing tips on how to meditate, how to Reiki heal. I'm talking about chakras. We're talking about eating. We're talking about all sorts of different things to heal our community so that we can move forward. No matter who gets elected in this election coming up, no matter who's president of the United States, no matter who's the leader of this country, we as a culture need to come together and start a healing process that is going to last for generations. We have to heal ourselves and teach our children how to heal, and then make sure that we're nurturing and bringing in whole and healed children moving forward. So again, if you're interested, I normally would plug it. Maybe I'll type a little banner at the bottom here where you guys can kind of just go to and check it out. It is Onyx Sun. Uh-oh. Don't go. I'm sorry about that. It's Onyx Sun. And it's on Facebook as a group. And it's also on Instagram. Instagram and the Facebook group don't give you as much. I mean, Instagram and the Facebook page, they don't give you as much information as you can acquire from joining the private group. Again, I mean, we're trying to grow, and we're just trying to give everybody tips and insights. And black men meditate. Believe me, they do. And I want to encourage you to meditate. And if you got a black man, encourage him to meditate. No, it does not make you soft, black man, to sit with yourself in the moment and just be with yourself. It is not soft to take a bubble bath and just relax. It's not soft to do any of that. You are simply just caring for yourself in whatever manner that is, in a healthy way. A lot of times we think that, just going out with the boys and having a drink and discussing it, that can be helpful in its own degree, but we also need you to sit with yourself in your moments. So when you go out into the world, you know how to handle these encounters that no one else will understand but you. And so, sisters, women, if you have a black man in your life and you meditate, encourage your partner to meditate with you, alone. Just encourage that sort of self-healing. And you can incorporate that with prayer. I don't necessarily, this is not like a religious thing. This is just a moment of self-care. And so I want to encourage that to everyone. But initially right now, I definitely want to encourage black men to do so. Like, this smoke is like everywhere. Forgive me. People think I'm smoking. I'm not yet, at least. I'm not smoking, but anyway, it smells good though. It keeps the peace around here. So I definitely want to touch on the mental health again. And then one of the final things, and I'm going to wrap up again. I did say I want to keep this short and sweet. It can always go a little longer when I have company or I have someone conversating. Well, you know what? Actually, let me go back to the mental health issue thing, because I want to touch on something. Monday 28th was my birthday. So Saturday I had a virtual Zoom party because of the COVID thing, and I didn't want to go to a club. And it was one of the best conversations I've ever had in life. I only had a couple people show up for the Zoom party, and that's fine because I didn't need to celebrate. However, the conversation got so entailed and so deep, and we as sisters, as women, sat together and we discussed mental health. We discussed therapy. I tell you all these tips, take care of yourself, take a bubble bath, do your nails. And these are self-care things we already know out of vanity purposes, but are we doing things for our internal purposes? And so one of the things I definitely want to encourage is go to therapy if you need it. Speak to someone unbiased to your situation if you need it. Again, we are in the midst of a really horrific time, especially for people of color. and we don't necessarily know how to handle. This is all new to us all. However, discussing what you're going through or sharing what you're going through and understanding that you are not going through this alone um, is the most empowering thing I've encountered in many, many years. And so it felt good to really be in a situation where I could discuss and be open and free about what I've been through and what I'm going through. So get with your girlfriends, get with your family members. You can DM me, you can call me, whatever, and we can just sit and chat, whatever you need. But just know, take care of yourself. It's International Mental Health Day, and I definitely want to encourage anyone who's going through something to not do this alone. I keep looking down because my phone keeps going off. I appreciate anybody who's watching, and thank you for tuning in today. There's a couple other things that have been going on, simply just in media, of course, and the most important thing right now is the election. I'm always encouraged to encourage people to go out and vote, take a stance, but educate yourself to the extent that you know more than you've ever wanted to know about politics. Do not listen to the headlines. Don't fall for the clickbait. There are certain resources that are not reliable, that are not credible sources. And of course, we all heard about the fake, what do you call that? The fake news things that Trump keeps talking about. It's fake news. Whatever it is, do your due diligence. Whatever it is, do the work and make the best decision for yourself. Like, I'm going to love you either way. If I loved you before this shit, I'm going to love you after this shit. I may not like you very much. I may not understand you very much, but vote according to what makes you happy. Vote according to what you stand for. Whether people agree or don't agree, you should be able to make that decision for yourself. Of course, I'm Biden and Harris all the way. I mean, unfortunately, if I've got to choose in a situation like this, I'm going to choose the person who's expressed the most diplomacy towards the cultural climate in this country. And so I feel that at this point, Biden and Harris are the only ones that are doing that. So I don't see anybody tuning in. Don't see any comments or questions. I mean, I appreciate you if you are doing it from afar, but I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just obligated to do this podcast because I'm committed to it. I'm committed to the growth behind it. I'm committed to growing this audience, and I'm committed to being a voice of change in our community. I'm committed to making this platform something that people can grow and learn from. So if you're anyone you need to express some things, you need to get some things off your chest, this is the place to do it. All right, so I know I'm missing something because I had like a whole lot of stuff I want to talk about. Oh, of course, I definitely want to, this is Harlo's world. This is not all black and white. There's a lot of colors in between how I live and where I've come from in my life. And so I'm a huge fan of Eddie Van Halen. I was devastated by the loss. And I was devastated. I'm again, my phone is going up. I was hurt. I mean, of course, if you're an 80s kid like me, grew up with MTV. I'm a first generation MTVer. So there are definitely people like Eddie Van Halen and so many more who influenced my life soundtrack. And so I definitely want to address that. All right. So I got a comment, and I definitely want to address it because I can't see it from the format that I'm on right now. So I'm going to go to a different format. And shouts out to Kimani Starr. You know what, Kimani? We talked on the phone for a while ago, and I meant to tell you my son's name. I named my son Kimani officially when he was born out. Eventually, he only started to go by his middle name. But it's so interesting. Every time I see your name, my oldest son's name is Kimani, and it's a beautiful name. And I appreciate your support as always. Okay, so here's a question. Here's what Kimani posted. Why was she issued and no knock warrant for a criminal investigation she wasn't involved in? Okay, so this is the Breonna Taylor case that we're discussing, and I'm gonna go back to that. The Breonna Taylor case. Initially, the no knock warrant was for. Now, I'm going to say this because I stayed up late night and I watched a New York Times documentary on Breonna Taylor's case, in which her sister, her cousins, her sister, her mom, all of her family members participated in. So initially, the no knock warrant was issued for Breonna's boyfriend or other boyfriend at the time. From the recordings I could hear from Breonna, and her just talking to the young man they were looking for, there was some sort of relationship that was there involved. Now, I don't know if he moved in or moved out after he went to jail from that location where he was living with Breonna, and how the other relationship she had with the boyfriend she was with, how that came into play. It's a lot of muddy water there. However, the gentleman they were looking for in Breonna Taylor's house had a relationship with Breonna. He had lived at her apartment. He did receive mail there. So the police made the assumption based on that he was doing his drug dealing out of her apartment. And that's where shit gets muddy, because up until maybe a few days or so before the actual incident, she was having conversations or recorded conversations with the gentleman on the phone. And she was expressing, how she was scared to have him around because of the police, yada, yada, yada. So she knew this gentleman they were looking for, and he had a history with the police. That is why the no knock warrant was issued. She was only involved, she was guilty by association, unfortunately, in this particular case. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't justify what happened, but that is how she became involved in the no knock warrant. They were simply looking for her ex-boyfriend or whatever he was at the time of a particular shooting. I think that opened up a lot of skeletons for the entire family, the boyfriend. I don't know the extent of the relationship she had with the man in jail, but that's what happened and why she got issued the no knock warrant. And again, because of that, it is because the police lacked intent to harm or kill anyone in that apartment at that time, only because her boyfriend shot first, and they responded with abundant gunfire. That's not the first time that's ever happened, and it won't be the last, I promise. We have to start taking our wins as they come. For example, we got the Breonna Taylor law now. In that particular state, they can no longer do no-knock warrants. I don't know too many states that actually allow that. I know California doesn't. I don't think Vegas does. I know there's a lot of states that don't allow it. So that's a plus. It definitely, Kimani, definitely shows how reckless and excessive the police can be. And that's why we have to know our laws in our states, and we have to find new ways to make them accountable for that sort of excessiveness. They don't have that in place. And it should be specifically for police officers. There shouldn't, for example, the police officer, and this is what I need to research, the police officer who who shot the white woman as she ran out to his car because he felt that she was being attacked. He was charged and sent to jail. There was some precedent in that particular state's law that was able to indict him on excessive force or excessive use of gunfire, something that made him go. So every state has like a different law that's applicable to how they handle their police. And what we need is an overall governing of the police department and law enforcement. Because definitely it was excessive. And just to be charged with wanton endangerment. I mean, I think that Michael Vick got more time for what he did or what he wasn't even directly involved with, per se, just because it happened on his property with the dogs. Then this police officer got, not just wanton endangerment, you killed somebody. There should be some sort of precedent in excessive force and violence for police officers and law enforcement to have to have accountability for. We don't have that in this country. That's why the dude George Zimmerman got away with Trayvon Martin. That's why the police officer who man, shot Philando Castile. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, there's so many names and so much anger that comes with that because they are not being charged. The grand jury, there's specific little just details that says if it doesn't have that, then nothing else applies. And that's what sucks. It can have all the other elements, but if it has 9 elements and not all 10 match, they cannot charge them with that particular crime. And so, that's where, again, I think that in this country, we as a culture, Black people, people of color, have paid more attention now to what's going on in our political structure and our law enforcement structure than we have in a long time. I believe Angela Davis spoke on this recently on one of her videos, but we have, and this generation of children, the millennials, they have such a strong voice, and I think they're a little more powerful in how they can, or stronger in how they handle things. And so I definitely want to see them carry the torch into a positive light and help make these changes. But in doing so, we definitely have to start educating ourselves in our communities. Like, no bullshit. Like, don't just go to the shade room and read some shit on the shade room and think that's facts. You know, we used to have, the internet is at your fingertips. Google is at your fingertips, and you can, some shit you got to take with a grain of salt. Wikipedia is not necessarily a great resource of valid information because anybody can go on and do that. However, you want to dig a little deeper. Go into your state laws, go into your state bylaws, your state, and see how we can start looking at these laws and asking our officials to make changes in their structure and how they handle these things. All right, so I am on, I can see you on Facebook Live. So if you have any more questions and you're on my page from Harlo's World, or on my personal page, you can send me questions, you can send me comments. I'm appreciative of it all. It's always a pleasure just to come on and kind of get things off my chest. And that's kind of why I use this Harlo's World. Like I said, I was given this world. I didn't make it. I just want to be a part of it in a positive way. I want to be a part of making a positive change in our community and the structure of our world, if I can possibly. Okay. And so, you know what? So Kimani said another question over. He says, I think no knock warrants should be issued. No knock warrant should be issued if there's an imminent danger. Issuing one for a former address of a suspect feels pretty. You're right. Right. There should definitely, if there's an imminent danger. And again, that's why they have the Breonna Taylor law now, where the no knock warrants are now illegal in that state, which I think should have been a long time ago. The fact that they were still allowing police officers to operate like that is beyond me. But yes, definitely no knock warrants are illegal, or should have been illegal. And so they did. I think that's an abuse of power also, that you could just walk into somebody's home, not investigating whether or not they have small children in the house, elderly people in the house. I remember, this is not new. I think what happens is that we have disregarded it for so long that people think this is something that's new and hasn't. In Chicago alone, I'm pretty sure that when these cops were just walking in and shooting, this is not just all like gang-related things. There have been cop shootings where they fire into a home and they hit a kid or they hit an elderly person. I mean, I've seen over decades these started, and it seems isolated because they only get reported, how many every years they happen, but it happens a lot. And so it has happened a lot where police have, shot into houses from the outside and innocently shot children or shot someone sleeping. Breonna Taylor case definitely brings a lot of that in unjustified violence to the forefront. Like I said, we got to start taking our wins and kind of, I'm going to say celebrate, because I think at this point we're all like, it's a little too late, too little too late. But let's consider the Breonna Taylor law a win for her and a win for the future of those communities where police can no longer just go into a house and start shooting up at suspected suspects. They didn't even verify if the gentleman even lived there anymore before they even went in. So that kind of Rambo sort of attitude needs to stop. And again, it's really different. Every state is different. And I think at this point, I'm hoping that in 2021, we will start looking at laws that will apply to law enforcement in a blanket sort of way across the United States, so that certain things will not continue to happen in any community, black or white. We need to really just adjust some of the training like they want in law enforcement. Like I said, sometimes I think we all feel it's a little too late for some of the things they're proposing to do, as instead of just doing it. So, and hopefully, like I said, those certain things like the Breonna Taylor law, her family getting a $12 million settlement, they're not going to get a conviction on murder. So at this point, we got to start taking that win. And we hope that Breonna's family, and I think they will, take some of that money and just find ways to honor her memory with the foundation, maybe helping other families who've had similar or the same experience. I mean, we there's other ways than just getting that instant gratification that we want when we see charged with murder, or seeing that police officer being charged with murder. And speaking of police officers being charged, the gentleman, I think Derek Chauvin, who was seen murdering George Floyd on camera. See, that kind of shit right there, that's like blatant murder. You had no intent of helping him at that time. And so I'm disgusted that he is now allowed to leave the state of Minneapolis or state of Minnesota for his own safety. Like, the fuck, you say? Like, you can leave and go to a whole nother state. Here's the thing, Mr. Chauvin, your face has been seen in every 51 states, or 50, however many states there is. Your face has been seen. We know who you are. So trying to run from what you did is not going to save you. A real man, a real person who believes in justice will take accountability for what they did and service the justice that is due. But we're not dealing with real human interactions. We're dealing with monsters who have no regards for human life, especially Black human lives. And so the fact that he's able to just go and move to another state because he feels unsafe, you know what? I'm pretty sure the people in Minnesota right now will feel safer with your ass gone. But we need to worry about what state you're moving to, that now they have to worry about their safety. Anyway, you guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm like 40 minutes in. I didn't want to stay on this long today, but it's always a pleasure just coming on. Like I said, talking to you, having these conversations is helping me grow. Hopefully it's helping someone else out there grow. If you have questions, you have a subject matter, I agree. Moving him to another state is crazy, but they have given him permission to go. I don't know why. Well, of course, they say because they fear that he's going to be killed or somebody's going to come for him. I mean, I'm not saying you should, and I'm not justifying anybody retaliating against him. But the fact that you feel you're gonna run to another state to hide from what you've done is disgusting. It's disgusting as a human being that he was even granted that privilege, because we already know if the shoe had been on the other foot or the color had been on the other skin, that would not have been the case. He would still probably be held in jail for what he had done. He would not be able to walk the streets. He would not be walking around Minneapolis or packing his bags to move somewhere else. And again, I think it's murder. However, if the grand jury does not find that what he did was an intent to kill, then, we'll be back to protesting this again. We'll still be looking for justice for George Floyd. We'll still be looking for justice for Breonna Taylor. We're going to still be looking for justice for Trayvon Martin until we change these laws. There's no protest that's going to change what's happened until we change the laws, until we can reach the lawmakers. And right now we can't, because we're so involved. We have to be involved with what Trump is doing. We have to, gauge what's going to happen if he does get reelected. What are we going to do then? That's another subject we want to talk about. What happens in the United States for people of color when if Trump wins this election? Me personally, I've said it several times. I feel like I have to maybe get a few more straps. I've got to teach my kids how to shoot. I don't want to feel that way, but I feel like he's a threat to my sustainability in this country if he wins again. It's a scary thought, and there's so much going on. We don't see the changes coming. Right, you're not an activist unless you're affecting public policy, and that's what we have to do. One of the key things that this smoke is really killing me. I feel like I'm in a fire. Let me just put this out. Make more sense just to put it out, right? One of the key things I was really interested in doing that I had a chance to kind of hang out for was one of the town meetings here in Vegas virtually. And Vegas doesn't have the same sort of problems, but we still have problems. And we have to learn our state laws. We have to be able to know, especially, every state is different, but we do, like I said, we need a blanket uniform set of applicable laws for our law enforcement across the country that can establish boundaries on excessive force, misuse of force. Every state should not be different, because the state that killed Eric Garner, the New York Police PD that killed Eric Garner, the chokehold was illegal, but there in some states, chokehold is still illegal. So they can kill a black man with chokehold and it wouldn't be illegal. So we have to get that blanket kind of uniform thing. We can't keep comparing states, how they serve justice. I see that a lot now. We'll see in this particular state where they let this person go for this, but in this state they didn't. Every state is different, and we do have to really get with our lawmakers and our policymakers to get this blanket change. All right, so I am going to wrap up. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to be back next week with some more guests. We're going to be talking about some other subject matters. Again, this season for me was all about trying to heal the community, and giving resources that will allow healing for our community. We have a long way to go. Like I said, no matter who's in office, who's our president, we as a community have a long way to go. We have to start self-sustaining. We have to start communing with each other, and we have to start learning where to put our dollars, where to put our money, and how to invest in ourselves. We have to start talking about generational wealth. We got to start talking about life insurance. We got to stop talking about medical health, mental health. We have to start having these conversations in order to better ourselves. So again, I'm gonna cut it short here today. I appreciate you guys for hanging out, and I appreciate all the questions, and I appreciate the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and just end this note again. It's International Mental Health Day. When you're done with this, take a moment, sit with yourself. Don't think about anything else. Don't think about politics. Don't think about bills that are due. Don't think about your kids that's tripping. Don't think about your mate that's tripping. Don't think about none of that. Sit with you. Love you. Take that time to be with you. There's so many different ways you can do this. You can journal. You can do a podcast. You can do so many different things to express yourself. Love who you are. Because if you don't love yourself, like they say, the old saying goes, you don't love yourself, how can someone else truly give you the love that you deserve? So again, I'm encouraging you today to take a mental health day. My job encourages that. I don't know about your jobs, or, if you're not working, this is definitely the time to work on your mental health. But take a mental health day for yourself, away from everything, mentally. It's not a physical move. You can do it mentally, with yourself, and just reconnect. You can make it spiritual. You can make it non-spiritual. Whatever makes you feel better. Today is the day to start your routine. Today is the day to begin a new change in your mental health. So I just want to stop there. Again, I appreciate you guys from showing up for me and just showing your support. I want to make these conversations a little deeper. I want to make them a little more uncomfortable as we grow. I don't want you to be scared to have these conversations. Next week, again, we are going to be discussing generational wealth, life insurance, what happens, to your family during that process. This is how we need to sustain each other. We have to be prepared we have to prepare our children for their future, to prepare their children for their future. And so we have to start as a community and growing. Anyway, peace and blessings, love and light. I'm going to have this recorded podcast on, it's going to be on Spotify. You're also going to be able to catch it on YouTube. It'll be recorded here if you want to come back. Facebook, my Facebook page is Harlo's World. I'm also on Instagram, Harlo's World. So wherever you are, just tune in, check me out, DM me. For God's sakes, I am so open. This is a learning process for me. So I'm so open to any input, criticisms, as long as you are respectful about it, of course, but anything just to have these conversations so we can help each other. All right. So we can be there for each other. All right. So I'm about to get out of here. Peace and blessings, love and light. Until next week, I will check you out then.